G'day, Steve Morgan, Fishing Monthly Magazine's on a pre-fish day here for a bream tournament in Lake Macquarie on the central coast of New South Wales. Now, after my recent success in the Daiwa Bream Australian Open down in Sydney Harbour, where I used my Garmin LiveScope to really assess what the fish were doing while they were looking at my lures, I had a lot of questions about, well, show us your setup and how does it all work? So I've got the opportunity this morning to show you through it, take you through my Garmin LiveScope and how I use it with my finesse brimming gear to catch some fish. So let's start with the electronics on the front. I've got a Garmin Force trolling motor, and I've got a Garmin LVS 34 LiveScope, which is the LiveScope Plus transducer and black box, and I'll have a Garmin screen here. This is a 16-inch GPS map Garmin, which lets you record your footage. So through the Active Captain app, I can actually mirror, and I can actually even control what's happening on my screen through the app. But what it can do is it can also record. So I'll hit the record button there. I'll start recording so I can show you some high-res cutaways about what's going on. When I started LiveScope fishing, I always loved to use perspective mode, which gave me a 170-degree view of what was happening in front of the boat, a real cross-section, but only a shallow cross-section. But for a lot of this deeper bream fishing, I found that the forward view, where the transducers flip sideways and looking in front of the boat up to 90, 100 feet, gives me the information I need to catch the fish. I'll show you how it's all set up on this Garmin. It's going to get us away from this boat at the moment so we don't hit it. Even though there's no wind, you still drift around in these places. When I pull this up, you'll see on the shaft of my trolling motor, I've got the transducer mounted. Now, when it's perspective mode, that thing will sit sideways, but now it's sitting in forward mode. It's pointing slightly forward of down. And when I drop that in the water, that's not a standard mount that comes with the LVS 34. You have a look here, and you can see it in the cutaway. Whenever I swing this around, it scans the water column. So if I want to point at that boat, there I can see the mooring line, and I can see some fish hanging under that boat. The way it works is your boat is here on the left-hand side. It's looking out 10, 20, 30, up to 100 feet out. And as I swing the motor around, I can see the different features there. So some people have it on poles. I'm not a pole guy. Love it on the trolling motor. We're fishing for bream, so you might think, oh, 80, 90 feet out, I can't see a small lure. Well, that's an old TMCO stick minnow, 40 mil long. I can see that 80 foot away, no problems at all. The way I fish with it is I don't actually modify my fishing too much. I go around and I fish all of these boats, but after I cast, I point the LiveScope at it and it tells me what the fish are doing. So if I see fish following it, I might be able to twitch it. If there are no fish there at all, I might be able to cut my retrieve short and go to the next boat. I can eliminate boats with no fish on them, and I can spend more time on boats that have got fish on it. So let's fish a few of these boats, get a bream to eat that. So I can see that boat there's, I can see fish running over to that lure, and it's 80 feet away, that cast. Did they eat it? No. There are definitely active fish between us and them. I can see them under the boat there now on the recording. Look at that giant mob of fish. Let's have a look at this chunky boat over here. Looks pretty daggy. Lay a cast in on it, then point the LiveScope at it. Here comes a fish running out. There's about 5 or 6. They all spooked, went to the bottom. Doesn't mean they're not going to eat it, because here they are coming back up to have a look at it. And there's one's got it. You can see him now fighting on the LiveScope. So it's a big one. And he just popped me. Found it. Didn't pop me. Fell out. Got my lure back. But that's those fish went down after the lure hit and spooked, but then they sort of came back up and had a go at the fish, at the lure. Hook pulled. We're going to catch one off these other boats. Okay, give it a couple of little twitches. Wind the slack up and give it some twitches. Got him? One. Look how big it is. It is
Holy.
a giant. Look at that thing. That thing is a freaking giant. That's the biggest yellowfin I reckon I've ever seen. Have a look at that. Nicole just got a giant. I reckon it's probably 1.6, 1.7. Saw them. There was 2 fish there. It was all. These are all just school fish though. These aren't proper big ones. They're improper little ones. That's on the light mussel. See, light mussels get it done, not the heavy one. Legal. Legal. There's some fish on this boat too. Look at them under there. Oh, look at that giant. No, it's not as big as yours. Still, it's not a one. It's not a little one. See, they had to talk him into biting it too. Could see them all on the bottom and they were looking at it. They're like, nah. And I'll just rip it a couple of times. They definitely didn't want to eat that on the sink, that lure, and then just popping it off the bottom there, he had a go at it. Or maybe bigger. Look at its guts. It's got some sort of rub on its guts.
Mm.
That's probably our second biggest fish today, that one, I reckon. That's got to be 800, that one.